Hey, Immaterial World listeners, we know you're always doing the work, committed to your practices around personal exploration, curiosity, and spiritual wellness.
We've partnered this season with Wiser Books, who work with so many creators and with titles across spirituality, relationships, mysticism, mindfulness, and more. Like Secrets of Romani Fortune Telling, you'll certainly find alignment with what's next for you in your journey.
For those in the immaterial world, use code immaterial30 at checkout on redwheelwiser.com, linked in the show notes. That's immaterial30 for 30% off your purchase through the end of March. Happy exploring. Welcome to Immaterial World,
a dedicated and transparent space to recenter how we explore glamour, magic, culture, and everything else we love together.
Immaterial world, come meet me in the immaterial world. As far as the galaxy goes, we're flying in the immaterial world. Immaterial world, come meet me in the immaterial world. With mind and body and soul, we're flying in the immaterial world. The immaterial world.
Erica Feldmann holds a master's degree in gender and cultural studies with a research concentration in witches. Her innate interest in the connection between home spaces and wellness led to the creation of HausWitch in 2012. What started as a micro-budget plus magic equals makeover interiors blog would eventually become a thriving brick-and-mortar shop and online community based in downtown Salem, Massachusetts. Harper Collins published her first book, HausMagick, Transform Your Home with Witchcraft, in 2019, and her second book, Intention Obsession, Rituals and Witchcraft for Every Season, in 2025. A Gemini Sun, Pisces Moon, and Scorpio rising, Erica lives with her wife, Melissa, and cat in the woods just outside of Witch City.
Melissa Nierman started NowAge Travel on April Fool's Day 2017 in Salem, Massachusetts, as a way to offer a container of authenticity to the many curious folks who visit Witch City each year. NowAge, offering intimate retreats, walking tours, readings, and hands-on classes that explore our personal relationship with magic, history, and our own innate psychic-ness, works to redefine the possibilities of what it means to travel as spiritual beings here on Earth. Melissa, a Leo Sun, Aries Moon, and Virgo rising, is herself a trained clairvoyant, queer witch, and intersectional history nerd with a passion for DIY learning. With a master's of education and years as an amateur comedian, she brings together a commitment to the facts with a keen ability to see the ridiculousness of said facts. She truly believes that people learn best when they're having fun and feeling connected.
Erica is leading a weekend-long retreat at Kripalu in Lenox, Massachusetts, April 3rd through 5th, 2026, based on the rituals in her book Intention Obsession, called Self-Care Rituals for Burnt-Out Witches. You'll learn how to bridge the gap between routine and ritual by infusing intention into everyday practices. From self-care to community engagement, this comprehensive approach will provide guidance on becoming the most effective, empowered, and enchanting version of yourself as you move through our challenging world. Check out the link in the show notes for more and to book your spot.
Have you seen any of these memes on social media that say, we're the granddaughters of the witches you couldn't burn? Or
have we? I mean, we live in a town where it's funny because actually this last October, I was outside gossiping with a few of the kind of big tourism leaders in town on a busy Saturday. And this person came up and was asking them, where they could find a t-shirt that said that. And
Lord.
they said, Erica, you would probably be the best person to ask for this. And I said, well, why would you want that?
Yeah. True.
I said, I'm surprised if you haven't found any shops yet on, the main drag on Essex Street that have that. But I would also just maybe say, do you want to wear a t-shirt about people who were murdered?
I wholeheartedly agree. And I have to say, you jumped in really hot on our intro. I love this because I was also going to say there's another meme where it says, I only like getting life advice from women who would have been burned alive during the Salem witch trials. Okay. So this is why we are having you both on the show today, because we're talking to two of the most beloved witches of modern day Salem to find out what culture gets right about the witch city and where we need to be a bit more curious about its history so that we stop repeating it or engaging in murder meme culture. I don't know. So,
I am definitely coming hot, and then Melissa will come in with actual answers.
I love this. We are welcoming into the immaterial world today Erica Feldmann and Melissa Nierman of the beloved metaphysical shop HausWitch. Welcome to the pod. We're so excited to have you here today.
Thank you. We're pumped.
Yeah, we're excited to be here.
Tell us about your personal journeys that led us here. What was the path that brought you to the birth of HausWitch? And as our episode is going to be coming out close to Valentine's Day, feel free to share a little of your love story as well, because we love a story.
Sure. I mean, I started HausWitch after sort of like, I feel like I was born a witch. I was always drawn to witches and witchcraft and the occult. But I really didn't connect with it sort of in a religious way. The religion of Wicca just didn't really like resonate with me. So I sort of didn't know like why I was so drawn to that kind of material. And then in graduate school, I sort of studied witches from like a socio-cultural, political place. And actually, that is when the spirituality piece came through for me, because I think that I started to understand the witch as an archetype, and I could really relate to that archetype. And, I think it is about someone who is the source of their own power so much that sort of like hegemonic systems need to marginalize them, which I think is something I can really relate to. And also just the fact that I am really political and really sort of like engaged in that way. I was like, oh, I bet like a lot of people could relate to this if it was in that sort of context. And so I really started seeing sort of the archetype of the witch as like a something that you could really leverage to teach people about empowerment, and I think especially queer folks and women and other kind of marginalized folks. And then I ran out of jobs to quit. And so I opened a witch store. And for me, like being in Salem is really important because, millions of people come to Salem to learn about witches and witchcraft. And so I think it's such an amazing opportunity to teach people about witches and witchcraft from that lens of, thinking about it historically and culturally and like, why did we name women witches, or why were a lot of the accused people women? What did they have that the system wanted? And how does that reflect on still what's going on today with marginalized communities? So that was kind of that for me. I mean, it is a long story, and I am a Gemini. So so I opened the store, and I was really grateful that it was well received sort of right away. And we started doing community events, most notably our moon circles, which we did full and new moon circles every month. And that is what led Melissa to come to the store.
Yeah. And Destiny. So, yeah, it's interesting. Like I've always been like a seeker. And for me, like witchcraft has not been the only thing. Like I love all different forms of interacting with the metaphysical, and that is one label for me. But I've always been interested in the occult and seeking. And before I came to Salem, I was living in New York, and in this very like weird
Like liminal
space of like I'm living with my aunt. I don't know where I'm going or what I'm doing, and but I ended up just coming to Salem to visit friends, and we had breakfast, and that morning we like walked past this brand new store, and my friend was like, "Oh yeah, this brand new store. It's only been here a few months." And in the window was a sign, like a literal sign, and it was for the new moon meditation that happened to be that night. And I was like, "Should we go?"
Oh, I love this.
Not really, like, just not really thinking, you know, and I think a lot of our initial meeting, there wasn't a lot of mental activity, you know, like none of it really made sense. And I think, you know, I was in a place that I was actually feeling very disconnected from my magic. Like I was seeking, I was learning tarot, but like I did not believe in magic. I did not believe in destiny, serendipity. Like I wasn't feeling it. Like I think a lot of people go through those dips, right? Where you're like feeling really excited and I'm tapped in, and then you're like, I'm not. So like I was expecting nothing. I was looking for nothing. I was just like drawn. And so we bought tickets. Me and my friend showed up that night, and there was Erica. And I was like, I am drawn to this person, you know, and you know, I didn't live there. I wasn't expecting anything. But we set an intention that day, or that moon circle, and my intention was clarity. Moon circles are powerful. The new moon is powerful.
I have to say, it's like always when you're in those dips that the real magic happens. When you're like,
Yes.
fuck that, nothing's working out. And it's like a literal sign in a window is bringing you to your destiny. I love that.
It's really interesting. I've really found that too, where it's like the times where you're just like, wow, there's no way I'm going to get out of this. You know, like I see nothing ahead of me. And then it's right before you have a big transformation, and it's so hard to hold on to that. And obviously, like the transformation it was meeting Erica, but it was also like stepping into this other version of myself that eventually I did move to Salem. And I think because Erica had set up this structure that has helped so many people step into themselves, you know, where she is like, I'm going to be the holder of this space. Who do you want to be? What do you want to do? What's your magic? Like, that's Erica's magic. You know, she's like, come on in. Like, what do you have to share? Like, a lot of times you haven't had like necessarily a vision of what's going to happen, right? It's like people come in, like people literally walk in through the door. Like, we have people working in the store that just walked in through the door and have been there for 5 years and have completely transformed like who they are and their relationship with magic and everything. So yeah, and it's been 10 years, you know, and I think it's been 10 years of really having to step up and become a different version of myself than I ever would have imagined. And I'm still doing that, you know, so, and in partnership, it's been cool and hard. And so here we are.
Well, thank you for the kind word.
Oh, it's so beautiful. And Eric, I do want to gas you up for a second here because I come from outside of the spirituality space. And in the past few years, I've been navigating that and on my own journey of what that means. And when I look at HausWitch as a brand, from a holistic marketing perspective, to me, it's a North Star brand. You're not unclear about what your values are. You're not unclear about what you stand for, what's possible, but it's very friendly. You know, to walk by HausWitch, to look in, everyone can feel like maybe there's something in here for me. Where sometimes in those spaces, it might feel very specific, or it might be just for certain kinds of witches. And, you know, you've created this space where I can bring my aunt in and she's like, oh, I need to like put a $1 into the gumball machine and find out what crystal is right for me. You know, she loves that. And It's like you can be a witch and still love the Real Housewives and drink Diet Coke.
And boy, do we.
Yeah. You can
And
be a
boy,
witch
do we.
and love
Yeah.
Lisa Barlow, you know?
My queen.
Yeah.
Yes.
Well, thank
So,
you so much.
yeah,
That's really sweet. Thank you.
and I think in those spaces sometimes it doesn't feel like that. So I just wanted to say, you know, there's something very special that you've created for sure.
Well, thank you. And I have to say about my wife that something that was so important when we first met, again, on the new moon, and then since then we've gotten married on the new moon, we moved into our home on the new moon. So the new moon is very special to us. And I don't know, I always say I'm a new moon ass bitch because I love the idea of, you know, just you can like rebirth yourself every month if you want to. But what I'll say is that having a partner who shared my spirituality was like the missing piece of my life, I think, which I didn't really know. I definitely think of like religion and spirituality for myself actually in a really like personal and private way. And so it never felt like something I like needed my life partner to be connected to, but like Melissa really like prompts me to think about things in like totally different ways than anyone I've ever met. And I think she is an oracle and a visionary and yeah, has definitely just like expanded my own ideas of spirituality and witchcraft and how the universe is interconnected and all that stuff, which is really important. You know, it's like we don't really treat witchcraft as just being like, you know, ingredients in a spell book that you put together. You know, it's really about this web of connection and how interconnected you are or not, or and how you use your connections and your gifts to connect with other people and theirs. So I think that's a little bit more, you know, it offers a more expansive version of witches, witchcraft, the occult, whatever it is. And that's what I think like you're responding to. And I think that's what a lot of people respond to, you know, just getting back to Salem. I love Salem and I respect everyone that owns a business there, but I do think there is a lot of overlap. And there's a lot of like the same things kind of store after store. And so I do think HausWitch is a little bit of an oasis for people. It's like it breaks up that energy a little bit. And I do think people really respond to that. And it's really authentic to us. It's not something that we have to like put a lot of energy into. It's just, that's kind of our zone.
Totally. And I do think it's like, obviously having a label can be really, really useful, right? Because you're like, okay, like now I can understand myself in a certain way. I can connect with other people with this label, but it can also be limiting.
Yeah.
Where you're like, okay, if I'm a witch, then I have to do things like this, this, and this. And if I like this too, you know, if I like Lisa Barlow or whatever it is.
Decidedly sort of anti-witchy figure.
Yeah. Or whatever it is. I mean, for me, and I think just like the whole house witch paradigm is just connecting to the authentic version of you, where it's like, you get to be a witch and you get to define that. Like, it's not about other people defining your connection with yourself, with the universe. Like, that's already been done. There's plenty of that. So many people that I meet are kind of emerging from the trauma of that. You know, of being told like, this is how you connect to God. This is how you connect to the universe. And they're like, but it was a situation where it's like, it wasn't healthy. It wasn't supportive. They couldn't be who they were, you know? So that's
your superpower, listeners, your authenticity and like your natural life force energy is actually your power. And so I think it's really important for us to, you know, really show people that. I don't think either of us felt like we were on the right path in our lives until we really got to that authentic, you know, what do I authentically care about and what do I authentically care that I am connected to? And it's way more, you know, powerful than what some other outside force might tell you, I would say.
Totally. I'm still finding my path for sure. Like a lot of
Well,
people,
we're
all still finding
yeah.
our path, but um
I do feel like HausWitch is my like destiny,
yeah.
which is cool, but that doesn't mean I have like 100% clarity around, even tomorrow, right? So even today. But I do feel like my authenticity led me to this path that I can say for certain, like, is my destiny. This is the work I'm supposed to be doing. And that in and of itself is, I think, a real luxury today in like late stage hyper capitalism, where so many people are just being exploited for their labor. To feel connected to your labor is really, really important. So, and as I'm sure you both know and understand, it's like one of the only reasons, or ways it feels tolerable to like exist in this under these conditions, is that I'm like, at least I'm like in my own destiny. I am not answering to anybody. I am able to just make the moves that I know, and intuit are correct. And yeah, so does that answer your first question?
Watch out, this is gonna be 5 hours long.
I warn all of the podcast hosts, like, I am a Gemini with a Mercury in Gemini, and like,
Love.
and I always say talking is my drug of choice. So, that works. Here we go.
I
Love
love I want to pick up on something y'all were mentioning earlier about how there can be a lot of trauma in spiritual community and religious community. And at the same time, when people are trying to figure out their paths, it really does help to have spaces that feel like safer community, or places where, like you said, you can step in and be like, okay, who do you want to be, honey? Let's see how we get there. And building community is more important now than ever. And HausWitch has been the space where you really do that. Can you share some advice for business owners or community tenders, whoever wants to be that space holder, how to build strong spaces?
Yeah, absolutely. And that in and of itself is not really easy. And I would say it's actually getting harder and harder every year, because people are getting more and more, I would say, stuck in the swamps of sadness, but honestly, to counter that with a real bright spot, we have run those full and new moon meditations every single month since we since the month after we opened or whatever. So that's over 10 years. And that was all through, we didn't skip a beat, even, during quarantine and the early days of the pandemic. So that's something I'm extremely proud of. But I also think it's really that consistency, and that like people know there's always every 2 weeks, everybody doesn't come to all of them, right? Of course not. And we've had, just hundreds, if not thousands of people roll through those. But so it's sort of like, I know there's a lot of people who are like, oh, I am feeling really disconnected. So, okay, the HausWitch Moon Circle is on Sunday. I'm going to make it a point to be there as a way of reconnecting. When we used to do them in the store before COVID, and I don't go to all of them either, but I remember like when you would go, it's like, oh yeah, like this is what it feels like to like really connect with people and really refresh my own sense of, spirituality and connection. And so I think like communities will build wherever there's a container for them. And if you can make that container be there consistently, then people can rely on it. And I think that's just a really important piece, and something that I'm really proud of. I wasn't always the most consistent and disciplined person in my life. That has definitely been something I've had to cultivate. And so, yeah, the moon circles going nonstop for over 10 years is something I'm really proud of, for sure. And we have amazing facilitators. Erica, our dear friend Erica Lee, who is a psychic medium, leads some of them. And then our dear friend Jana Levitsky does the rest of them. And so they're both incredible teachers and incredible people to connect with.
Totally. And we've also, I mean, I was thinking, I've been doing tarot salon with Shauna, who also does the moon circles, for 8 years. And every month we get together, and as a community, we like read tarot for each other. And I do think a big part is having a space where people feel empowered to like share and contribute. Like when people show up for tarot salon, like they're helping each other, you know? I know for me, just having consistency has been so helpful to have another person to do it with. Like where it's like, there's been months where like one of us had to miss it, but we kept going, you know? We completely adapted too with like, we moved on to Zoom like a lot of people, and we just kind of kept going. So I think that's a big piece.
Totally.
Yeah, having a person to do it with, I think is really helpful.
Yeah.
This is so beautiful. And we know that community is so important, and we're talking about meeting with others and going into group spaces or taking it to Zoom. But in the hellscape that we're currently in, we want our own homes to feel peaceful and safe. And Erica, as the house witch, we're hoping that you can give us some tips on creating a space within your home to give you that sense of safety and peace and healing. What are some of your best practices to build those out?
Yeah, I mean, especially for me, I mean, we just recently moved into, you know, a much more.
Yeah, your house is so cute, by the way. I saw it on Instagram.
Thank you. So I mean, like I've lived in the city my whole adult life, and living somewhere surrounded by nature is still like completely surreal to me, but it really has sort of given me an opportunity to sort of rewire my nervous system in like a pretty let's take it down to the studs kind of vibe. So I've obviously been thinking a lot about this, and, you know, I would just say like your house is a sponge for your energy. And so being really intentional about, you know, what you choose to bring in it, and what you choose to clear out of it. Definitely like regular clearing practices, you know, which I always like to remind people, smoke is not the only way of doing that. And that, I mean, for me, some of the most profound experiences I've had in this house, which Melissa doesn't know about, is when she's not home and I have the craziest dance parties by myself. And you can really feel how the energy of your house is moving and is clearer, and you don't feel the stuckness. And so your home has to be your oasis. And so I just think being really intentional about the energy there, and that will mean something different to everyone. You know, I mean, you can definitely look at my book, HausMagick, for like actual kind of, you know, rituals and, you know, crystals that you can bring in. But you know, my second book, Intention Obsession, is more about tapping into your own sort of ideas and your own personal spin on magic. And so I think there's so many ways, and you really just have to think of like what's most important for you. Like, you know, for me, it's like if I have a weird day at work, like maybe I'm going to take just an extra 5 minutes in my car to like take some deep breaths and like clear my energy before I come into my home, because it's like not an energy I want to bring into my home, you know? The other thing I'll just say in the like house as sponge metaphor is like, you know, we did just move into this house, and it's really been a process of clearing out the energy that was here before and then resetting it with, you know, our best energy. That's what we like to say when we clear, is we replace any old or stuck energy in this space with our highest and best energy. And that's all you need to say. You know, folks, walk around your house with a bell, just repeat that incantation. That's it. It doesn't have to be a huge thing, but something that really shifted the energy in the house more than anything was we had a big staff karaoke party here at the beginning of January.
Love this.
And this house, you know, it's from the 70s, it's mid-century modern, it's sexy as hell. And I was like, it wants to be a party house. And so we have this party, and like Melissa was laughing at me because like for days afterwards, I was just like, the house feels so good. Like it loved having that party so much. You can just tell like everything's so buzzing. So just being intentional, what do you want your oasis to feel like? You know, if you want it to feel like a spa, like get a fluffy robe and, you know, have a playlist of spa music that you turn on when you come home. Definitely have lamps. Don't do that overhead lighting stuff. That is vibe killer number one, you know? So I think it's just about like tapping in. Melissa was trying to pick a paint color a couple weeks ago, and I said, tap into what you want to feel like in that space. You know, that's because I can't tell you how to make your home feel serene, because something that might make you feel serene might make me feel really restless, you know, or something like that. So those are kind of my like blanket tips. And then, yeah, just thinking about like for us, we're like, okay, like we want our bathroom to remind us of our trip to Greece, because that feels really replenishing to us and, you know, reminds us of that there are positive things still happening in the hellscape. So that's my answer. I don't know. Do you have anything to add?
No.
Okay, great.
I will say I love that you brought up like all the power of vocalization, whether it's singing or ringing the bells, because I live in a studio apartment, so it's a very small space. And if I have a weird work day or if there's weird emotional things, I feel like the energy gets real weird very quickly in such a small spot. So the last time I was in town, I did get my counter magic banish spray, and I will spray that with the window open, and I'll just be like, no, I don't think so. Like I always feel like opening that throat chakra and being like, I don't think so. I'm not taking this on. Like,
Love that.
you know, like a really like empowered woman. Like, I don't think so. Bad energy. So
Oh yeah.
really big on the vibes. I also have a lot of Gemini placements, so I got to let it out.
Perfect. Yeah, 100%.
I do. Yeah, speaking of intention obsession, where you're giving guidance on the rituals and witchcraft that you love, as we love to indulge in it, especially seasonally, can you give us some insight about where to put our energy in these last weeks of winter as we're preparing for spring? I know for me, I definitely get the sabs, but I feel like ritual is so helpful to keep me rooted in why this moment is special and what it's doing for me and how can I work with it. So we would love to hear your thoughts on seasonal work.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, February and March are brutal. And then like April in New England has its own brutality in that you keep thinking it's going to be the month that things turn around, but it never does until May, you know? So totally. One of the things that led to intention obsession was me trying to reframe winter, because I've always hated it. And, you know, during the pandemic when we were like really stuck inside so much too, you know, I took a class with Sister Spinster Liz Migliorelli called Tending the Hearth, and she talked about intentional wintering. And that really shifted for me. I mean, it's not my favorite season for sure, but something I think that we lose sight of because the beginning of winter is so frenetic with the holidays, New Year's, etc. It's like one of the great disservices I think that has been done to winter is that we like decided Jesus's birthday was like right there, and then just, I don't know. So the late winter can be what winter is supposed to be, which is a time for like yin energy instead of yang, for appreciating what is quiet, what is slow. And there are all sorts of like cool winter deities too. I recently, you know, over the last few years have been sort of fostering a relationship with Holda, who is a German snow goddess. And that is my ancestry is German, in case you couldn't tell by the spelling of my business. But that has like brought a different layer of appreciation, I suppose. And so like in the book, the rituals that I suggest are, you know, there is one for sort of getting outside and still tapping into your senses. But I would say, in Pisces season, I talk a lot about reconnecting to your intuition, which is very hard to do when things are loud and fast and overstimulating. And so there are a few exercises in there for tapping into your intuition and decoding your dreams. And actually in Aquarius, there's one called a wisdom wormhole where you just set aside some time to like get into something you've been randomly interested in, because maybe you have more time than you do other times of year to just focus on something internal, something that's just for you. And yeah, just appreciating it as hibernation season. I mean, like, what do all the animals do? Like, we live in the middle of the woods. I've barely seen an animal for 2 weeks, because they're not out trying to do life in this. They're like, no, we'll be away.
And they're definitely not judging themselves for not doing life. That's the big thing.
That is, yes.
So many of us get value from production. I feel like, I've gone into the deepest depressions, just like, I feel like a different person. I'm like taken over by a demon in the winter where I'm just like, how can I possibly ever be that other version of myself again? And the judgment piece really, that's the hardest. It's like, how can I just be still and just know that this is one part of the cycle?
Yeah.
I
think something that was important when I was writing Intention Obsession was taking back seasonality from capitalism, right? Because we are supposed to be doing all of these things. I mean, first of all the time, we're never supposed to rest under capitalism. And when you really start peeling that back and peeling back, Christianity and peeling back just all of these like structures, and you realize like, we can still tap into these harmonies again with enough intention. You can still be part of like the world that's not the world mediated by these other forces. And I think it's actually like a great way. Something that really interests me is like sort of the commoditization of seasons, which I don't love, I definitely don't love just the like shelves and shelves of like mass produced, future trash on the shelves of home, whatever, home goods stores and the like, but it does show that people are innately really connected to seasonality, and they do really want to deep dive into their pumpkin spice lattes. You know what I mean? And so I do think if you can harness that for good instead of just straight up consumption, then you are going to be able to really touch something in people that is there, because literally for like tens of thousands of years, that's actually how humans operated. And it's really just the last, few thousand that we've gotten into these kind of other patterns and cycles. And so it's really about reaching something that is so much more human than what we're doing now, I would say.
Oh, I love that so much. And I also get the biggest ick from those seasonal aisles. They're so upsetting. And then they're first of all, they come way too early, and then they're 50% off the day afterwards. It just always gives me the biggest yuck.
It really is. And I would just like encourage, especially just like people who are interested in this world of magic and witchcraft and stuff like that, to be discerning when it comes to that stuff, because as witches, I think it's important to not do harm, right? And stuff that is going to literally end up in a landfill, like without a doubt, because you look at stuff, you're just like, you are not going to care about this in like, even by next year. And then you're going to be back at this place buying more of this stuff. And I just think that is counter to the sort of mission and vibe and benefit of spirituality, right?
Yeah.
So please, you can like really like celebrate the season in ways that are not mass consumption. Please.
Completely agree. And I love this idea that it's signaling to you that you want to participate in seasonality and you want to touch into that part of you that's in your ancestral, bones that you have.
Absolutely.
Which is it's a great place to start. And there's so many better solves and more eco-friendly ways to solve that.
You will have more fun making a fall apple cinnamon scented simmer pot than you will looking at the plastic that some exploited person had to make somewhere on your shelf. I know it. I know it to be true. Make the simmer pot, please.
Yes, I love a simmer pot so much.
How could you not?
Oh man. Yeah, I mean, I am also really excited to get into the magic of place because I feel like we're in the magic of season. Melissa, we really want to ask you about the history of Salem. What does the zeitgeist have wrong about the witch city, and what do they have right?
Well, first of all, no witches were burned here. I know this question is for Melissa, but going back to the very beginning of this, there were no witches burned, no people burned in Salem.
Yeah. Sometimes we'll burn Christmas trees, as a collective, how to get rid of your Christmas tree, but that's it. We've had some arson, we've burned some buildings. It's so interesting because I've been doing tours in Salem since 2018, and I meet so many people that are on these pilgrimages and they're really looking for something, and people come with all different ideas about what Salem is, what they're going to get there. I do feel like some people are disappointed and some people find it, but I meet a lot of people that when they tell their family and friends that they're coming to Salem, they're scared for them. They are scared that they're going to get hexed. There are witches around every corner and they're going to curse them in some way. They're going to make them read tarot. They're going to, whatever it is.
And we are.
And they're going to force them to be self-reflective and tap into their intuition. Terrible things.
Totally.
And you said it. Yep.
I mean, Salem, it's such a powerful place because it really is. I always talk about this, but it's the holder of the shadow, meaning it's the holder of everything we're taught within our communities, within our families, and, all these institutions to believe is wrong in some way or too dark to get into or whatever the story is. And people come to Salem to do that thing and to touch it a little bit. Where you want some ghosts, you want some zombies, you want some witches, And so I do think there's a fear factor that exists. Where we really embrace the things that you're afraid of, but it doesn't mean it's scary, if that makes sense. I also I do think some people saw Hocus Pocus and think the whole town is thatched roofs and we're really straight. We're still living in the 1600s and they're a little disappointed when it's a city. And
Hocus Pocus truly has such a chokehold on our nation. I can't even tell you.
People love it. Oh, the bachelorettes, they love it.
Yeah.
But honestly, it is this thing where it's I think people saw it growing up as little children, right? They're 8-year-olds and they're ooh, what is this? It's a witch. It's witches with sisters and they're funny and they're having a good time and there's no men around. And you're what is it? There's a talking cat. And it awoke something in them. And so, a lot of the people that I meet, whether they love Hocus Pocus or not, and most of them do love Hocus Pocus, to be honest. They love it. And they're crying when they're oh my God, it's Allison's house. Or
oh my God.
So excited to stand in it. It awakens that whatever awoken childhood, that's what they're coming back to,
And I'll say this, I often think about this and I'm curious your thoughts. I grew up in Massachusetts in the South Shore. So we regularly went on field trips to Salem. This was something that was part of my life. Do you think that there's a magic that's lost because of the proximity? Are we just not is it too familiar to us in a way? I can understand being from a completely different part of the the country or the world and being like, wow, this must be a super magical place that's holding all of this magical energy. So I'm curious if you think that's kind of the magical lens that Salem gets put through.
It's interesting because it's like, yeah, people are here to find magic in a lot of different ways. And I think a lot of what they think magic is can come from pop culture, right? And it kind of says that bippity boop, did it, abracadabra. And a lot of times we do provide that for them. But I do find that a lot of people that really get what, like, come away from Salem where they're like, wow, I kind of like found it. I love this place. I feel like myself. That's what I'll hear people say. I feel more like myself when I'm here. Like, I feel like I can be myself. I don't have to worry about what people are thinking about me. Like, they're opening up to their own magic, and I think that is something that people don't realize about Salem is that it is a very progressive city today. And it does represent this kind of transmutation, right? Of like all the, our whole history, like our history that we're known for is like a big trauma. It's like, it's a big, oh man, we like murdered our neighbors. Like we called people names. They were not that, we othered, like, this is like, oof. And like, as opposed to like so many other places that exist like in the world, like there's been trauma everywhere, right? Like Salem owns it. Salem is like, come on down. Like we will be the holder of all the witch trials that have ever existed. Like literally, can you think, there's so many other cities and towns that have had witch trials and that have witch trials. We're having witch trials modern day today, and you wouldn't use that term, but for Salem, it's like you can come here and we're like, okay, come to our museum. We got some mannequins. They're acting out the witch trials. You can stand in front of like a 10-foot tall devil. You can put your head in some stocks and act like you're being punished. Like you want to go to a haunted house. Like maybe we'll have some Puritans in there, but it's also just like a town too. It really is. And there's this other, like on my boards, I talk about this whole other history that like there's the 1800s, there's the 1900s. Like Salem has all these really cool, like progressive, like histories. Like we had the first like female anti-slavery society, like started by like women of color, like 1832, like the first one in the whole country. Like there's so many examples of that in our history. And that's why it's like we've taken like the shadow and we've done a complete 180 and we're like owning it, and then we're also like turning it into something else. There's rainbow flags everywhere. When I get, it's so cute, I'll get little queer teenagers on my tours, or just anyone that like lives somewhere where there's not rainbow flags all year round or at all. And like we have them year round. Like we have like sidewalks that are like painted for trans flag, it's like, and that's just how it is, when we get preachers from out of town to like come scream at children and on Halloween or on they are from out of town.
Yeah.
That is not the culture. So I do think it represents possibility in a way that people don't realize, like the possibility of like, and that's what I think witchcraft is about, right? It's like we're owning the shadow and we're doing something with it, right? You're
transmute, you're alchemizing.
Yeah.
And I will say, like, as someone, I moved here 15 years ago from the Midwest, so I did not come here on field trips and stuff like that. And it was absolutely that for me. I was literally like, yeah, I belong in a town where there is a witch on the fire trucks, or where there is a witch on the newspaper. It's called Witch City. And like, yeah, it has changed a lot since then. And so I think it has developed some of these things that people are a little bit disappointed by. And again, I think that's just late stage capitalism, overconsumption kind of taking things over. But it is a really magical place, just in that we do say like, yeah, we're putting witches on the police cars, and there's, witches painted on the parking spaces. And there is something about that where, definitely a lot of other people across the country hear the word witch and recoil still, So I definitely think it is a special place that holds that shadow, that holds, the darker side to things. I think a lot of people are really comfortable with like the archetype of the goddess, and not the witch, and I think that the difference there is almost sort of like not to create a binary, because I don't think there necessarily is one, except maybe in like the popular imagination, where the goddess kind of represents this lighter energy and the witch represents this darker energy. And the darker energy is the truth too, right? I mean, it's just the truth that we have been really taught not to look at, or just to malign in general. And so I think it's really, really just more special maybe than people even understand, to have those emblems in all of these different contexts. The high school is the witches, like that's their mascot, that feels awesome, and so even, of course, there are some downsides, to sort of like over tourism and stuff like that. It still just is such an important place, I think.
Yeah, absolutely.
I love that so much, because there's so much balance in this, where there's the alchemizing and there's the teaching the history, and then there's giving people what they're looking for. But I feel like, especially the way that you two operate, it's like, yes, come in, witches, let us educate you kindly.
Yeah.
And I was wondering, just for anyone who's listening and they're like, wait, why isn't it cool for me to say I'm the granddaughter of the witches you couldn't burn?
Yeah.
Can you get into just like a rundown of like, why is that not a cool thing to say?
Ooh. Do you want to take that?
I mean, it's interesting, because I think what a lot of people don't realize about the Salem witch trials and a lot of other witch trials is that it isn't like they were just like targeting people that were like, I'm a witch.
Yeah.
I'm a healer. I'm a midwife. Like within Salem in particular, like this was like mostly just like devout Puritans that happened to like have rumors about them, or were just kind of seen as off, right? They didn't fit. Some of them had land, but they were just people that grew up as Puritans and weren't really doing anything outside of the norm, and that is true. And, I think,
yeah, we like to say there weren't any witches in the Salem witch trials, and so I think it's really like an oversimplification of something that is actually really important to understand the nuances of. And I think that is a problematic thing to put on a t-shirt.
Yeah, I've seen a lot of problematic t-shirts.
There are a lot. Yeah. I mean, and it's not like I can't make a joke about, whatever. But it's just, it's so important to understand the nuances. And, the other thing, and this is like such a tangent that I'm going to really try to not get too in the weeds with, but I think that within like a particular demographic, and I'll just say of white women, there is this real longing for there to be a lineage of witchcraft that you are connected to, that your ancestors participated in, that, your ancestors like weren't part of the colonizer, Christian colonizer, tradition. And that's cool. I don't want to be associated with that tradition either, 100%, but it just isn't that simple. There wasn't like, Dianic cults. I mean, who knows? Of course there could have been, but that's not the people that were being persecuted, and I don't know how many people know this, but like there were witch trials all across Europe that, many, like, some historians estimate millions of people died in, were murdered in, and it went on for hundreds and hundreds of years. Salem is such a blip on that map. And so rather than lean into this sort of false narrative of, well, I belong to the, I'm a descendant of these badass women who, did whatever they wanted and then, got punished or didn't get punished for it or, whatever. I just think that's not it's just not a truthful place to operate from, and it's not, that doesn't make you a witch. That doesn't make you a powerful person. it was saying that, what makes you a witch and what makes you a powerful person is what you're doing with your own energy in this lifetime,
Yeah.
I think it's almost just like passing your responsibility to actually be curious about what it means for you to be a part of that supposed lineage. I think it just really flattens the whole idea into something that, isn't, I don't think, that funny and is kind of tacky. So,
Well, and it negates these systems that we keep seeing again and again, where it's like anybody can be caught up in this. And like whatever the thing is that we're identifying that's wrong changes,
and which is a really important lesson for right now.
Yeah.
I mean, why even bother learning about this kind of history if it's not to connect it to what's happening right now? And I know that, Melissa on her tours has been connecting what happened here with, immigrants and folks that weren't born here that live here now.
Yeah. You were just saying about the othering, like really this comes down to the othering and not supporting the community. So the connection is quite clear. Yeah.
Quite clear, right? So if you start making it about these kind of like callous jokes and whatever, and again, it's like, I get it, make a funny t-shirt, whatever, but I think to people who are really invested in making these connections and, that don't see Salem as an amusement park, right? I mean, it's like the whole point of Salem is to educate people on what happened here and the implications of it. Sidebar, we have this like really booming and fun tourism industry, but I don't think that's really the point.
Yeah, especially as a Romani person, I feel like a lot of these kinds of like, oh, we're the granddaughters of the witches you couldn't burn. There's so much erasure of people of color who were highly stigmatized. And that's not who they're talking about. Like Tituba, I'm so glad her story is coming out more as an Indigenous woman, as someone who was treated as a catalyst for this. And a lot of times I feel like when people are in this discourse of like, oh yeah, like I'm a descendant of the witches they couldn't burn. I'm like, let's talk about Tituba, babe. Let's talk about people of color who were like highly ostracized. And then anyone who, like you were saying, was a Puritan, but maybe a little off, maybe owned land that someone was covetous of. Like it's such a deeper story. And I feel like it engages in a lot of really troubling erasure. Just from my perspective as someone whose culture is still ostracized and othered for doing anything that looks magical. And so I always get like my heckles raised about it.
Totally. And I always talk about like what we identify as magic, which is just like what you're doing versus what I'm doing. You know what I mean? The term itself is like literally like other people's magic, like foreign magic in ancient Greek, magia. So it is interesting because it's like when you start to look at like mainstream, what are considered mainstream religions, whatever, it's like, I don't know, it looks pretty magical to me. Like I always get so many like Catholics on my tours and I'm like, oh, well, I don't know, you guys are doing.
I always say Catholic people are witchier than me. Like,
no, it's all the like.
Well, I'm Catholic. It is witchy as hell. There is so much going on there.
But it's interesting because it's like in Salem, like, I always talk about Essex Street. If you've been on Essex Street, it's the pedestrian walkway. There's like every type of magic, right?
The
it's
main
like,
drag.
Oh, we got crystals, we got pumice, we got, and I'm just like, yeah, where's the church though? Like, where's, like, why is this all like a smorgasbord of a cult? Like, why is this all grouped together and seen as like separate than what they're doing in that church over there? I don't know, they have a big building, but it's interesting because it is so separate in people's minds, witchcraft, magic, and then religion.
And I think that's why that's one of our sort of like North Stars at HausWitch is kind of trying to like bridge that gap and say like, maybe it is something you do in your house. Like you think that little dish is pretty cute, don't you? Well, it's made out of selenite. It will clear, I always tell people, we all have our kind of go-to examples like in the store that kind of wake people up to an idea of magic they never thought of before. And one of ours is we carry little selenite bowls. And I always say like, yeah, my wife and I put our wedding rings in this, at night, just to clear any energy. And people are like, oh yeah, I mean, I could put a cute little selenite dish on my dresser, we make the Moldavite gem essence. And when we're explaining how to work with our gem essences, sometimes people like completely glaze over until I say the words Moldavite margarita. And then they're like, oh, okay, I understand this now. I want this. I want the carnelian for my coffee. I want the pyrite for my water bottle, whatever it is. And so I think exactly what Melissa is saying is people come and feel like a stranger in a strange land a little bit. And I think it's really what I find really fun and really satisfying about running my business is thinking about how to connect people to this idea of magic in their own lives that they may want to keep like very not spiritual or not openly spiritual or whatever. And I think that's the project for me. And that's what keeps me really so curious and so creative and invested is this idea of kind of bridging those.
Yeah. Yeah. It's powerful. It's powerful when you see people shift, when they're like, oh, I can do that. Because people really do. And we're all disempowered in our own ways. You know what I mean? We've all been disempowered. And, just watching people like be like, oh, I can do whatever I want with this crystal. Like there's not a right way to do it. People with like, I teach tarot too, where it's like, well, how do I shuffle? I'm like, however you want to shuffle, like you're creating this experience. Like this is your tool. Like this. Yeah.
And it is interesting because actually a lot of people really want to be told exactly what to do. And they actually sometimes are like a little rebuffed by the answer. Like, well, what do you want to do with it? But hopefully, even if they're feeling a little some type of way in the moment, my hope is always just that like maybe, 2 hours from now, there's going to be something that they're going to be like, oh, like, okay, I kind of understand that. Actually, I think I could go get that one crystal for manifestation and put it like on my desk because that would be the energy I would want to bring there. I mean, people will say, like, oh, well, what should I do with it? Should I put it on my nightstand? Should I put it on my desk? Do I put it in my pocket? And we'll just go, yep.
all of the above.
Anything. What do you think? And so, like I said, a lot of people maybe feel shut down by that because they just can't access that piece of their imagination. But I also think there's like an equal number of people who are liberated by it and really start engaging more with, our sort of brand of this in the store, which is mostly just like your magic, like your magic. Here's some pretty rocks, or like your magic. Here's a scented candle that might help you feel even more magic.
Oh, you are giving us the perfect opener for our next segment, which is our little game that we like to play where we talk about a tarot card and then a song that reminds us of the tarot card. And it just goes back to what you're saying of this idea that it doesn't have to be these strict, rigid, it's only one meaning of the card. You kind of got to get into the flow of how it feels to you and like what it evokes in you. So I love
that idea.
Yeah.
I was like, I'm like, first of all, I'm a little freaked out because I feel like I might choke and like not be able to think of anything. No. But it's like such a cool idea and like so fun. So, okay.
I'm going to kick it off today. And
Are we each doing one or is it one for us, both of us?
I would love if everybody does their own, but yeah, whatever you're ready for. It's Aquarius season. I'm going really weird with mine. And my card today is the Wheel of Fortune, and it's the Facts of Life theme song.
Oh.
Can you say any more? Or
yeah, I mean, like I just, I try to keep it really funky with my picks. Usually it's like an early 2000s dance jam or, some sort of like very pop song like Cardi B. But I was thinking about that song the other day and I was like, it's pretty straightforward. Sometimes you're up, sometimes it's down. That's just the facts of life. You take the good and the bad and you go with it.
Well, I think we definitely thought we were going to be prompted, like picking a card and having to come up with something.
Oh, no, whatever
Oh,
card,
okay.
whatever combo you want to
Do you
do.
have a card song combo? The first one that came to mind for me, and it sucks because I think like he's a little bit problematic,
Are
but
we thinking of the same one?
well, I don't
Oh,
probably
I'm so excited.
for me, which is like one of my cards historically is the Emperor. And so I was thinking of The Takeover by Jay-Z.
Oh, wow. That is a good one.
Takeover breaks over.
Can you tell us a little more about why that feels so resonant for you?
I think because something that I went through something a few years ago that was sort of traumatic and really disempowering. And something that I ended up turning to sort of like build myself back up was rap, which I have always liked rap and hip hop, but it's not like what I normally listen to a lot of. But I really was identifying with like Jay-Z, Dr. Dre, Dead Prez, like for this whole year because I just felt like really small. And I feel like so much of rap is about like pumping yourself up and like nobody can like hype themselves like rappers, you know?
And they're all Geminis or like very prominent Gemini placements because they're lyricists, right? It's like it's just a thing that's known.
No, totally. So I just like when I think of the Emperor, like the Emperor also came into my life, I think, when I needed to feel more expansive, right after I opened the store, actually. And I sort of felt like, okay, I have this thing, but I don't know how to really totally own it. And the Emperor kept coming up, and I'm a little bit like averse to like the idea of like male energy just overall, but we all have to incorporate all genders into our experience. And in that moment, what I really needed was to be the Emperor and to like build my fempire. And so I sort of learned to appreciate that card on a different level. And so then, yeah, just this morning when I was thinking about like songs that I would connect to a tarot card, I was like, definitely the Emperor and the Takeover. So that, I guess that can be my answer. Although I think he just showed up in these files, which is,
Oh God.
so I don't know. If you think I should do another one, I can definitely, while Melissa is thinking about it, I can try.
I think I might have some problematic answers.
I guess they're all.
It's hard not to be problematic. And I think that you can appreciate someone's art and then also be like, and they're hella problematic, and here's why. And it keeps the discussion going and it keeps us honest. I love it. So yeah.
Okay, so it's a Morrissey song. He was very problematic.
I wouldn't say very.
Okay, he's problematic.
He's like in boomer. He's like a problematic boomer, yeah.
And it's like you really dislike the song, and it's about kind of being, yeah, please
let me get what I want.
Please let me get what I want. Like it's kind of very disempowered song. And I used to really like it until I realized, like, you're like, wow, that's like not a good attitude to have. But it is an attitude where I'm just like, life, please give me something. But then you're kind of just like not really doing anything to take it. And so for me,
Seven of Cups.
Oh, I was going to say Four of Cups.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, that's a good one.
Like,
Yeah.
Like giving you everything and you're just like, just please give it to me. But you're not really taking it. You know what I mean? Like, you're just like, I'm just kind of, I don't really have any say in this. I'm just kind of in my closed off position. This is an energy I've been in quite a bit in this lifetime. So, and like I said, I used to love the song and I really gravitated towards it. And now I'm like, oh, I don't want to, it's not a great way to be, but.
I will say the only other thing that came to mind is when Lemonade came out. We made a tarot card of Beyonce in her yellow dress that she has when she was like with the baseball bat as the Nine of Pentacles, just like unbothered.
Oh, love.
So that was the other thing that I thought of was just like, but it's sort of like that whole album Lemonade. And like, yeah, I love the Nine of Pentacles. We say that's our cat, Salem's card.
It's my favorite card.
Is it? Yeah.
Yeah.
So what's yours, Jasmina?
So I play with myself where I'll pick a card at random and be like, okay, this is the one I'll talk about. So I drew the Strength card, and you know the band The Hallucination? I think they used to be called A Tribe Called Red.
Oh, okay.
I love Electric Powwow Drum. It's such a powerful song, and it has this beautiful blend of strength and power and ferocity, but also like tenderness. And it feels also so reverent. And it just, I love how the Strength card is like strength through tenderness. And it just, whenever I hear that song, it does that for me. And I get kind of like emotional, but I feel like powerful. It's just so good. Highly recommend if anyone hasn't heard it before.
You guys should make a playlist of all of them.
Oh,
I want to talk about this a little bit, but I'm leading a retreat at Kripalu in April, and
Cool.
I'm going to steal a version of this, I think, and I'm going to make us a playlist like for the weekend.
Yes.
So that people can be like listening to everybody's tarot songs. So
that's fun.
That's a
I love it. And I think that, for me, someone that just started reading in the last few years, like going on these tomes online, and it's like, this is what this card is about. It's like, I need other visual or educational aids. I need some sound aids. So like the songs really do help. And I think that it gives somebody a little bit of levity to learn the cards better. So steal this game, please. Steal this and play with your friends.
there's like a few tarot books out there, and I know for sure the one called Creative Tarot, where it does give you like media suggestions going along with the cards, like movies to watch, songs to listen to, books to read. I think there's like a few that do that. The one that's coming to me off the top of my head is it's called Creative Tarot. And it's by, there it is. One second. It's by Jessa Crispin, The Creative Tarot.
I think I have that book. I really liked it. If I'm remembering it correctly. Yeah.
I find that when I'm having trouble like understanding, what a card is coming up for me in a reading, as that I definitely turn to those things for, a wider context, I would say. Yeah.
Yeah. I love using tarot creatively too. A lot of times when I work with writing or art clients, I use tarot as prompts for what we do, and it's super fun. And they don't have to take it literally if they get the Three of Pentacles, but it might be an interesting jumping off point.
Mm-hmm.
You can come at it from so many different angles.
Totally.
So what kinds of tools and practices do you tend to lean on in your personal healing and self-care? Like, you shared so many great examples and suggestions for people, but what are the ones that are like your personal staples?
Do you want to go first?
I mean, I do a lot of self-care, and it's interesting because I kind of grew up as someone that's not really like very athletic or kind of drawn to movement, but movement has been my healer. And I started in 2020 just kind of like lifting dumbbells, and now every day, like I have to move. And I think it really is an energetic thing where it's like, I got to get my energy moving. And I think some people really gravitate towards a more, it's like your natural state to have a more depressed energy or lower, and to just kind of getting it flowing, getting it moving, has been a really big shift for me. Like I do it like pretty much every day, starting in the morning. And then I love to sweat. I love to lift some things. Like I feel very physically powerful. And I do find that a lot of people that gravitate towards spirituality, they really love kind of being out of their body. They're like, ooh, I just want to go into a trance state. I want to kind of connect with the astral plane. And you're like, yes, that is really fun. And it's also really fun to like be in your body and move around and like eat and have sex and roll around in the grass. And so, yeah, I'm loving the physical plane more and more.
And because Melissa and I are an opposites attract couple, I have sort of the exact opposite answer, which is I definitely just dropped into my body a couple of years ago. And, as just a CPTS complex trauma survivor. Yeah, it wasn't a place I wanted to be at all. And so my practices now are really, like I mentioned, around this sort of like rewiring of that. I will say, like, Melissa got me like a crystal heating pad for my birthday last year. What is it? It's like biometric or something. And I love laying on that thing. It is like, it definitely attunes something in addition to just being a heating pad, which is great. But yeah, so for me, I also have been like getting, and this is, you know, a privilege, obviously, but I've been getting massages for just, you know, chronic pain. So I get those consistently once a month, and that has really helped me be able to be in my body more. So I think just like, yeah, prioritizing that and just, I don't know, like everything outside of our home and our shop feels so abrasive and intense that I think just anything that helps me feel calm and really kind of brought back down to earth. I mean, as an air sign, as a sort of, you know, my job title at HausWitch now, aside from head witch in charge, is my role is as creative director, which you are up in the ethers if you are trying to be creative. You are making mental connections and psychic connections. And so I do feel like I spend a lot of time up. And when I come home, my self-care is all based around sort of coming down in a way that feels good. So we are the most opposite, like, people, sun and moon, like, just truly definitely need different things. But the common thing I think for us is sensuality and really like leaning into pleasure, and not just sexual, you know, but really like having good meals, cooking together. We love to, like, I don't feel like we're ever as magical as just when we're cooking together and stuff like that. So I think too, like, I see a lot of people who are just like disempowered and maybe feel a lot of shame, who don't think to tap into those things and just sensuality and pleasure as part of magic and witchcraft. And I want to say, please try. It's really nice and magical.
I love that. You know, maybe last year, Jez had pulled for me about something, and the Empress was coming up for me. And I am Chiron in Taurus, so sometimes I can get weird about the Taurian.
Chiron in Taurus too, actually.
Yeah,
it's one of the generations.
It's a generational thing, but I find like sometimes, you know, the call out was very much like, buy flowers, you know, enjoy the meal, you know, like touch the grass and touch all of the beautiful, like enjoy sleep, enjoy being in your bed. And it is so empowering. And I love Neptune moving into Aries. Feels like we all want to be in our bodies more. We're getting out of that Neptune and Pisces, like we're in the intuition world. It's like, okay, we're anchoring now. And spirituality is very much going to have body attachment. So that all feels so good. What do you each have coming up on the horizon that we should look out for?
Yeah, like I mentioned, I'm really excited that I will be leading a 3-day retreat at Kripalu, the yoga center in Western Mass. My assistant Paige is coming with me. It's called Self-Care Rituals for Burnt Out Witches. And we're definitely kind of thinking of it as just a fun witchy sleepover party. And I think it'll be a lot of fun. And you can go to the Kripalu website, which is Kripalu. Yeah. I'm still like of the generation that like I spell my last name out like twice on like voicemails, and like
you say what your phone number is even though it's on the screen. Yeah, me too.
Yeah, of course. So anyways, so I'm just like, okay, but yeah, so I'm really, really excited about that. That is kind of the big thing, you know. My book came out last year, which was like a real yang year, and this year I'm trying to chill a little bit, but that is going to be something that's really fun. So look it up, come hang out with us. We're going to play this tarot game and make a playlist, and so yeah. What about you?
Well, so every year I always kind of change up my tours a little bit because my moon is in Aries, so I need newness even when I'm doing things consistently. So this year I'm doing Witches in the Spirit World. And I'm really excited for that. And continuing to do Tarot Salon. That's every first Thursday of the month. We do it virtually where
It's tonight, in
it's
fact.
tonight, actually. Well, not your
Not when you-
tonight. Yeah.
In the astral, it's tonight.
This year, we always have a theme that we create tarot spreads for where people read with. And this year we're going through the zodiac. And so every month we're kind of like doing tarot spreads based on, the zodiac theme, which is fun.
Yeah, that sounds awesome. Oh my gosh. What is the best place for people to go to support your work? Where can they find you? Where do you want people to find you?
Yeah, I think HausWitchStore.com is our website. And on Instagram, we're just at HausWitch. We love to clown around for the algo. So please go check out our social media. We try to have a lot of fun with it and be informative. On our website, we have a community page that has years and years and years of posts of free tarot spreads, free spells, all that kind of stuff. So yeah, HausWitchStore.com.
And we do aura photos too, which have been really fun. And we didn't mention that. It's called Personal Rainbow, but you can find that on the HausWitch website. And then my tour website, you can also find my tours on HausWitch, but it's NowAge Travel.
Yeah, actually, do you want to just take a minute and share like what is an aura photo, just in case anyone is like, what?
Oh yeah. Yeah. Aura photos are so fun. And it is one of these things where it's like, you can talk about like, this crystal's for energy, this is for energy, but actually seeing energy in a physical form and seeing yourself as energy in a physical form is like very special. And so we have this special camera. It's an AuraCam 6000, which they started designing in the late 70s, producing in the 80s. And basically it uses hand plates with sensors on them to pick up energy from the energy centers in your hands because they're all over the body. And you get basically a Polaroid picture that has, I would say, one layer of the aura. I think it's the second layer of the aura. That is my theory, which is kind of emotions, how we think about ourselves, how we feel about ourselves. And you get a little interpretation. So it's cool. And I think we get a lot of people that like to come again and again and kind of check in on themselves. We do aura parties, lots of bachelorettes.
We do, since it is Valentine's.
Oh, yeah.
We do have a relationship package where you and a friend or a sibling, just anyone else, you guys get one individual photo each, and then you get a photo together. And so then in that reading, you get to know your own energy and your energy with this other person. And so those are really, really special too.
Yeah. You can make out if you want in the booth.
We have a bunch of kissing.
That'd be weird with your sibling probably, but
Do that.
no judge. We're not very judgmental.
We might judge that.
No,
So funny. I was about to say
sibling, maybe not.
Yeah.
Okay.
I was about to say Jasmina and I have to get in the booth, but it won't be a making out photo. It will just be the two of us with like a thought bubble, and we'll be like, "What are we supposed to do next?"
No, please.
Love.
But it is cool, and it's a cool way to start talking about energy with people, in a very like visceral way.
I love that. What's the best way to book with you for that?
Go to the HausWitch website. It's under Personal Rainbow Aura Photos in the drop-down menu, and you'll see different options and book away. There's a calendar. If you want to, you can reach out for a party. We have a booking page. And like I said, I love groups of people.
Me too.
So yeah.
Parties. I had a really funny moment. I was reading poetry at an event, and this young guy came up to me, probably like 21, and he was like,
I love this one.
so cute. And I introduced myself like I'm a local fortune teller and I'm about to read some poems. Hey, and so got into it. And then he came up to me afterwards and he was like, "Do you mind if I ask you a question?" I was like, "Absolutely." And he's like, "When you were talking, I saw all these like colors coming out of you, like yellow and pink and white, and it just got stronger the more impassioned you got." And I was like, "Oh, cool." And he's like, "What's happening to me?" I was like, "Oh,
I love this."
You're like, "You're talking powerful. I awoke you."
was like, it's happened before, but this is the first time I got to ask someone about it. And I was like, oh, honey, you're just talented. It was
love
so
that.
cute.
Yeah, I mean, send him my way. Maybe we'll, take him on as an aura reader at some point.
I love. Thank you so much for spending time with us today. It was incredible, and there was so many beautiful takeaways from this episode. So thank you for being here.
Oh, we're thrilled.
Yeah.
Thank you for having us. And yeah, we love to be able to work together. So thank you for creating that opportunity for us.
Yeah.
We love it. We love. Thank you so much for joining us in the immaterial world. While you're here, we hope you subscribe, rate, and review us on your favorite streaming services. The real magic is in connection and community. Share your favorite episode with friends and come follow us for more on Instagram at immaterialworldpod and Patreon at patreon.com/immaterialworld.
I like to see you shining. Show me all your dreams. You're a special kind of magic. Show me all your favorite things. You're pretty like a sunset. You're pretty like a pearl. You're a special kind of magic. Dancing in a crazy swirl. In a crazy swirl. Immaterial world, come meet me in the immaterial world. As far as the galaxy goes, we're flying in the immaterial world. Immaterial world, come meet me in the immaterial world. Your mind, your body and soul, delighted in the immaterial world. The immaterial world. The immaterial world.
Immaterial World is hosted by Jessica Richards and Jasmina Von Killa. Music and editing by Dia Luna. Artwork by Lane Friend. Follow Immaterial World Pod on Instagram and Patreon at patreon.com/immaterialworld. You can visit our website at www.immaterial-world.com or email us at immaterialworldpod@gmail.com. Thank you for being part of our immaterial world.
Welcome to the immaterial world.